Ladies and gentlemen, from somewhere in the hills of Virginia, we bring you the Political Madness Podcast. In the Political Madness Podcast, we talk about the left, we talk about the right, we discuss things that fall right down the middle. But at some point in this podcast, we guarantee you will probably be offended. So, without any further ado, we bring you Political Madness with Dennis Bosher. All right, this thing on? All right, looks like we're off to a start. This is our very first episode of the podcast, which I have appropriately named Political Madness. I am your host, Dennis Bosher, and basically this podcast is going to be me giving you my opinion, as crazy as it might sound. I consider it to be logical, reasonable, appropriate, considering the crazy political madness that's going on out there today. Whether you're on the left, whether you're on the right, I still believe there's a common language between those both far sides of each spectrum and those in the middle, and that's logic and reason. And that's what I'm here to talk about. That's what I'm here to bring you. I'm here to bring you the logic and reason. And I'm not saying I'm the most logical or the most reasonable person in the world, but I do feel like I see things that some people don't seem to see. I feel like one side of the party, whether you're on the left side, whether you're on the right side, in both of those sides, there's a lot of blindness that's going on where you don't see the faults in your own party. You don't see the problems in your own system of government. And I think somebody needs to point these things out because there's blindness. There's team mentality. This specific episode is going to be basically about the impeachment process that's been happening, which is coming to an end today. As I'm doing this voiceover right now, they're about to start the last day of the impeachment. And of course, it's going to end in acquittal. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the process. I want to talk about what led up to that. I am personally, just so you know, to give you a little bit of background about myself, my name's Dennis. I consider myself a libertarian, but I don't even agree with all of their beliefs and policies. I mean, most of them, yes, I'm right on key with, but there's a couple that I'm kind of on the fence. I'm not really on one side or the other. I'm undecided in a sense. For example, abortion. Abortion is one I don't really want to take a leap. I'm kind of more on the right side of abortion, but at the same time, I understand the left's argument, and I'm kind of on the fence. I don't like to make that decision, and I'm glad I'm not in politics to a point where I have to make those decisions and make those things into law. But we do have representatives that do such, and it creates a lot of controversy in our world. So I'm basically a libertarian. I believe you should be able to do whatever you want to do as long as you're not hurting someone else, as long as you're not, stealing someone's property, you're not causing physical harm. And I'm saying physical harm because I don't think emotional harm warrants your right to. I don't think that gives you a right to deny me of my rights just because I hurt your feelings. And that's kind of one of those border things where I've kind of jumped across. I'm like, you know what? I appreciate your feelings. I respect your feelings, but your feelings do not dictate whether I should have a right to voice my opinion or say what I want to say or do what I want to do. I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings. And that's kind of what this podcast is all about. I'm not sorry if it hurts your feelings. All right, no, that's not true. I am sorry if it hurts your feelings, but I don't think that trumps my right to speak my mind. And I think that is a very important part of the First Amendment. Oh, look at that. I've already gone off on tangents. Well, this is going to go great. Anyways, guys, welcome to the podcast. My name's Dennis Bosher. I'm your host, and we're going to go and dive deep into that world, that madness, that chaos that is politics. And whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right or whether you're somewhere in the middle, I'm going to say something that you're going to agree with, and I'm probably going to say something that offends you. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. That's kind of the best I can do for you. I am sorry. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but things need to be said, and they could hurt your feelings. So that's the story. That's where we're at. That's what this podcast is about. And I'm not going to talk about this every single episode, but this is our very first episode. And I want to put that out there that, yes, I may say things that you might not agree with. And that's the whole point. It brings me to a story. Today, I woke up. I looked at my Facebook account Lo and behold, I had a message from someone. It said, dude, stay in Virginia where you belong, or something along those lines. And then bye, just bye. And it was this girl, and I know who the girl is. She's a DJ from Florida, and she's a very big, major anti-Trump type of person. And the reason she posted this on my post, because my post was basically pointing out the flaws in this impeachment process. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about two things. We're going to be talking about the impeachment process and how I feel about it, and then we're going to go on to the State of the Union that happened last night. So for starters, let's look at this impeachment. You have a president that was asking the Ukraine to do an investigation into the son of his political adversary, his opponent. Okay, that does look a little fishy. I'm not going to lie. Of course it does. It looks bad. You're asking a foreign entity to investigate someone that has to do with the next election that you're a part of. Yes, I see it. There's total reason to have concern there. I agree. Here's where it all breaks down. Trump calls the guy and says, look, quid pro quo or not, whether you consider it quid pro quo or not, what's important here is quid pro quo, number one, it's not illegal. It is done within our government all the time. Hey, you need a little help with some military arms. Okay, cool. Well, we need you to help us out over here. How about you go help us out over here, and we'll help you out with the military arms. No problem. It happens all the time. It's a big part of our foreign policy. Quid pro quo. It just happens. It's nothing wrong with it. Now, what would make something wrong with it is if you're asking them to do something illegal. That's a key important part of it. If you say, hey, I need you to do this, I need you to go wiretap this guy, this citizen, and I need you to illegally do such things, whatever the illegal activities are. I need you to do these. These things are illegal, but yeah, so what? You need this funding, right? You want this funding? Go do this illegal activity for me. Okay, that quid pro quo, no good, very bad, illegal, completely 100%. You can't do that. Now, the question is that what was done? And I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of people out there that hate Trump. I used to be one of them. I still kind of, just to put this out there, I'm not a huge Trump fan. I didn't vote for him in the last election. I voted against him. I didn't want him to win. I didn't like him. I still don't really like him. But I'm not going to sit here and deny some of the good that he has done just because I don't like the person that he is. I don't like him because he's a dick. He's a jerk. He's just not very nice. And yes, I'm sure he does nice things sometimes, and he makes nice gestures. But his whole character is that of a snobby little twerp that likes to pick on people, and he likes to call people names, and he's just not very kind, and I don't like that type of person. I'm not saying you have to be an angel, but I'm saying there are different ways that you can handle situations that don't make you look like such an asshat. And Trump's not very good at those other things. He is good at being an asshat. And I understand completely why so many people dislike him. But we got to be fair. We got to be honest. He is the president of the United States, and the American people, whether it was a majority or not, our process allows for the Electoral College to take up for the minority, even when the majority wants something else. And that's good. That is a good thing. That means you are not ruled by the majority. That means a group of racist, bigoted, white supremacists can't get their group, they can't create a majority that's going to overtake the minorities that want to be free and they don't want to be prosecuted or oppressed. They want to, it's a good reason. It's a good thing to have an electoral college that protects the minority. In this case, yes, it helped Trump. It helped a lot of people that were voicing their opinions that weren't being heard. A lot of these people, they're seeing you got to see things through their eyes. In their eyes, their government is being overrun by Democrats, and they see Democrats as socialists, as communists. They see them as overreaching, and in many ways they are. In many ways they aren't. But the point is, there's a large minority of people that were only heard because there is an electoral college. Now, right now, yes, Democrats over there on the left, you guys might be the majority in America. Maybe. It's kind of a toss-up. It's really kind of 50-50. But right now, you might be the majority. You might have been the majority in the last election. And the point is, that right now, yes, you might have had the majority, you might not have had your voice heard, and that's okay because the next election it could be flipped around the other way. It protects both sides. The Electoral College is a good thing, and I just want to put that out there. And I'm going to stop sitting here protecting the election of our current president because our system is genius. Our Constitution is amazing. It's a work of art, and it protects the rights of everyone. You, me, left, right, it doesn't matter. It's a very important process that should be respected and should be understood. Okay, back to the quid pro quo, back to the conversation. Okay, so what did Trump campaign on? He campaigned on many things. He campaigned on building a wall. He campaigned on increasing jobs, on reducing unemployment. He campaigned on another important thing, draining the swamp. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean exactly? Well, what that means is he's going after political figures that are doing wrong in the eyes of many. And that's a part of draining the swamp. So back to this quid pro quo. I'm sorry, but he campaigned on doing the thing that he is doing by seeking out to investigate corruption that's involved in the Ukraine. And here's the biggest thing. Here's the biggest part and the biggest influence of my mind. I don't care if Donald Trump did this specifically for one reason. I don't care if his one reason was, I want to be the next president. I'm going to get dirt on this guy. It's going to help me. If that was his intent, and maybe it was, I don't care. And I'm going to tell you why I don't care. The reason I don't care is because there's something that's more important than him revealing dirt on a potential candidate. And that something is that a potential candidate might have dirt. I mean, are we blind? He's investigating somebody that could possibly, potentially lead our country. And we don't want to know if he's got dirt on him. We don't want to know if he's involved in corruption. Are we that party blind? Are we that oblivious to reality that we're going to say, oh my God, how dare President Trump do this? How dare him? That might get him elected. That might help him win an election. Who the fuck cares? You know what? Good. If he points out corruption on a potential candidate and that gets him elected, good. He deserves it. He deserves it for standing up for what's right in this country and against what's wrong. I don't care if his motive, his intent was selfish, if it was one-sided. The point is that the end result of that selfishness, it benefits America. It lets you and I, the American people, see that, hey, there might be a problem here with this potential candidate. He might be corrupt. He might be into doing some kind of illegal activities that are not in the best interest of American people. And to me, that revelation, that seeking that truth is more important. Even if he turns out that he was innocent, even if he wasn't doing anything wrong, I feel much better about my country that I know I have a political candidate that is not corrupt. But if he is corrupt, that's even more reason for this to be just fine. Because if he is corrupt and you now see that this guy is shuffling money around and twisting politics and doing corrupt, illegal activities, we should want to know that. We should want to know. And for that reason alone, I don't think Trump should be impeached, nor do I think he should be removed from office, because his actions, whether on purpose, intentfully or not, his actions were in the Americans' best interest. And that is a fact that you cannot refute. It is in our best interest to know if a potential candidate is corrupt or not. And the same goes with the impeachment. Because right now, everything that the Democrats have accused Trump of doing, they are basically doing themselves through this impeachment. They are investigating a candidate for the 2020 election, seeking out to find out if he was corrupt, if he did anything illegal, and if he was, they're going to remove him from office, which is going to, in the end, ultimately benefit the Democratic Party. How can they not see that they are the pot calling the kettle black? Or maybe they are black being called the kettle. I don't know. But the point is, they're both doing it, and they're both not wrong for it. I do believe the Democrats, and I'm sorry, Democrats, if you're out there listening to this, like I said, this is going to hurt some feelings. This episode is going to probably hurt you guys more than the right. And that's okay, because later on in episodes to come, I'm going to be hurting the right as well. But in this situation, in this scenario, I'm sorry, Democrats, but you're wrong. This impeachment process has been in the works since before Trump took office. They were investigating his campaign before he even won the election. There was special courts created to spy on Donald Trump. It turned up nothing. Come to find out, he was not involved in any kind of election tampering or anything like that. But the fact that he was being investigated, that was kind of tampering with the election as well. Not saying it was, I mean, it is wrong. It was wrong for them to do that. It was wrong for the Democrats to create a special court to approve wiretaps and all different kinds of spying activities on an American citizen. We have a constitution that protects us from the illegal searches and seizures and illegal spying on their own citizens. They can't do that. It's not legal. But they made some twists to the laws and they made it legal. And whatever. You did what you had to do your crooked bidding. That's fine. The point is, this started a long time ago. It started well before he even won the election. Matter of fact, less than a year after he was sworn in, the whistleblower's lawyer, the whistleblower, the guy who, supposedly made these claims that Trump was doing some bad things, his lawyer tweeted on January 2017. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. Where's it at? Here it is. Coup has started. First of many steps. Rebellion. Impeachment will follow ultimately. This is Mark S. Zaid, the whistleblower's lawyer. I mean, if that doesn't tell you where the Democrats have been for the longest time, I don't know what will. They have been watching his every move, looking for him to make a misstep, a miscue, trying to find some reason to pin something on him. And I don't think they were able to do it. And maybe this is a conspiracy theory. Maybe I'm wrong completely, but the evidence says otherwise. The elements of this whole chaotic situation seems to make it points a picture at the Democrats. They couldn't find nothing wrong with Trump. They couldn't find a reason to remove him from office. So they conspired. They conspired to create a way for them to remove him through impeachment. And to me, this lawyer, the whistleblower's lawyer, confesses it right there. I there's nothing more clear to me. And maybe it's not true. Maybe I'm way off. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm a pretty open-minded person. So if that's the case, then fine. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm just telling you what it looks like to me. It looks to me like and all of these guys are connected. There's been people that have connected them. And that's what is so crazy is even Schiff, the whistleblower, the lawyer, Schiff says he never met the whistleblower. We found that's actually not true. And there was a lot of lies that Schiff portrayed before this even got started. It's so freaking crazy. So whether or not it's true, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. The point is, it's not this. Impeachment has been in the minds of Democrats since the very beginning, and I don't think there's a Democrat alive that would deny that fact. And if you are, you're just probably lying to yourself. This has been going on. It's nothing new. They have been looking for a way to pin something on him, and this was their last chance. And that's why it was rushed. That's why the whole impeachment process was rushed, at least the last pieces of it. They could have gotten their witnesses. They could have subpoenaed them. They could have pursued it in court. The problem is it would have taken them outside of the election. It would have been in the next election. And they didn't want to be in that situation. They wanted to get it done, get him off of the next ticket, get him out of office, and put their guy up there on the throne. And that's what it boils down to. They could have gotten their witnesses. Now, as far as the blocking that the Trump campaign or the Trump defense did, or the witness blocking, the evidence blocking, you know what? Maybe there was some guilty stuff in there that was going to make him look bad. Maybe it was. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say maybe it was. But more than likely, I think it has more to do with Trump's attitude. Trump's like, oh, you think you're going to pin some stuff on me? Guess what? I'm blocking every damn thing you can even think of looking for. You're not going to get shit. That's what I think happened. I think Trump was being Trump, and Trump was saying, ha ha, watch this. And he invoked his privilege. Now, the problem that the Democrats face with that is that he's completely legally allowed to do that. There's nothing illegal about it. You can't really call it obstruction because he's illegal. He is legally allowed to do it. You can't make a crime out of something that somebody is legally allowed to do. And that's a problem the Democrats face with that. They weren't going to get what they wanted. But overall, this whole thing, they tried to rush it. They tried to hurry it up. They got desperate. They were hoping on this last prayer that somehow they could get the senators to vote for witnesses, and that didn't work out either. And when that didn't work out, this was over. Because even if they had gotten that testimony, even if John Bolton came on there and said, yeah, me and Trump had great conversations about how he was holding that aid so that homeboy, whatever his name is, the Ukrainian president would investigate Biden. He even if Trump said, yeah, he told me he was going to do that so it would help him win the election. Even if Bolton said that, that wouldn't change my mind because I want to know if Biden is dirty or not. It doesn't change my mind. It might change your mind, and I'm not going to say it doesn't make the president look bad. Of course it does. Even if that stuff all came out and that's what it said and that's what it showed, I say, so what? So Trump asked this Ukrainian dude to go investigate on somebody that might be doing something bad, and his whole entire intent was because it might help him win the next election. It might take care of a potential opponent. Maybe that was his complete intent. But again, like I said in the very beginning of this podcast, so what? It also gives the American people some insight on a potential candidate. And that's insight that is in our best interest, especially if it involves criminal activity, especially. But that doesn't exclude if he's innocent, because even if he's innocent, we should want to know that too. That's what this all boils down to me, is what was Trump doing? Okay, he was investigating a potential candidate, or he was investigating a candidate, an opponent in the election. And he was trying to find out if that candidate had some dirt or if he was involved in some of the corrupt things that were going on. He was looking out. Yes, maybe it was selfish. Maybe it was with the intent to help his election. But what is he looking for? He's looking for dirt. Do you not want to know about that dirt as an American voter, as an American citizen? Do you not want to know that this guy is good or bad? How do you not want to know that? How can you not defend someone investigating that? That's what I don't understand. To me, the knowledge of whether Biden was involved in corruption, that knowledge is more important than what Trump did. It outweighs it. Therefore, in my opinion, negating any type of bad policy or inappropriateness that Trump has done to reveal this information. The way this knowledge was revealed, to me, that is low on the totem pole of importance. It doesn't matter. And if it helps him win the election, it does. All right, see, there's the thing. That's the main thing, is revealing corruption on an opponent. That's not helping you win an election. That's that's exposing corruption on one of your opponents. That's not going to help you win the election. That's just going to take him out of the picture. There are 12 other candidates that he still has to face. It's not helping you win election by revealing some truth. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. I do not think what Trump did was perfect, nor do I think it was wrong. And that's my opinion. That's how I feel. I'm sure you might feel differently. Maybe you agree with me. But when it comes down to it, that knowledge of corruption is more important than what Trump did to find it out. You got, on one hand, someone that could be potentially doing illegal activities in the name of the United States of America. And on the other hand, you got somebody that is trying to reveal that knowledge. So what do? You take the guy investigating criminal activity and you make him the criminal? Because of his actions of revealing criminal activity? No. No, that is not how this works. That is not how this works at all. This impeachment, I don't disrespect it. I respect the fact that impeachment allows American people to investigate potential corruption within our government. I believe this impeachment was not used for that purpose. I believe that this impeachment was used in a very dishonest and vindictive way. And that's the problem I have with it completely, is I believe that from the beginning, Democrats have been out to get Trump, and they almost got him. And they used a system, our own government, to do it. Luckily, our founding fathers were smart people, and they knew that any type of impeachment, any type of removing or undoing what the people have chosen, any type of strategy or plot to do this would need to be in agreement by a 2/3 majority of the Senate. 2/3. That means they would have to have bipartisan agreement. But in this case, they did not. In this impeachment, they had bipartisan agreement not to move forward with impeachment. That says a lot. They had Democrats saying, no, this isn't impeachable. This isn't going to work. They had Democrats that were not for this impeachment. As time goes on, more might be revealed and we might find out more information. But based on what we know and based on the rumors that we have heard, even if you include the rumors of Bolton's testimony, I still do not see anything that Trump has done as wrong or bad for America. I'm sorry. I don't see what he did as cheating in an election. If he's cheating in this election, the Democrats are cheating in this one as well, because they're doing the same exact thing. They're investigating potential criminal activity against a presidential opponent. I don't think what they're doing is cheating. I don't think what Trump did was cheating. If I had to judge on one or the other, which one was the most vindictive or evil, I'd say it was the Democrats, because they started this impeachment without reason. They started this investigation. They started nitpicking at Trump's activities and everything he does without reason. They didn't do it with an open mind. They didn't do it with a partial mindset. They did it with anger and emotion in their hearts and souls. They did it because they can't believe that this guy won the election. Frankly, neither could I. But I'm not going to sit here and say that what you're doing is perfectly fine, even though I agree somewhat with the process. I don't agree with the motives of your process. Just like you might not agree with Trump's motives for what he did. It still doesn't make what you're doing or what he's doing necessarily wrong. Nor does it mean you should all be removed from your positions of official capacity. It doesn't warrant that type of move. I'm sorry, it doesn't. You see, where the Democrats' case completely fell apart, in my opinion, is the fact that it's really, 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 really hard to prove intent. And they would have had to have proven that the president's sole intent, his only intent, was to cheat in an election, or even to win the election, or to alter the election. And they didn't prove that at all. Matter of fact, some of the evidence they produced that had his, for example, some of his transcripts where Trump is saying, I need you to do us a favor, or we see that as really wrong. And, there are certain things that were said in his transcript, like the word us. He didn't say I want you, he didn't say me. He didn't say I want you to do me a favor. He said, I want you to do us a favor. That says, hey, that intent is not for me. It's for us. My intent concerns us, the United States of America, the White House, It doesn't prove his intent. And that is where, in my opinion, they completely lost everything, because they could not, and it's almost impossible to prove someone's intent. But that is where his guilt would lie. It would lie in his intent. If he was only doing this for the intent to alter the election, if that was his only motive whatsoever, then they might be able to at least have an argument. I still don't think that argument would win, and I don't think it should win, but at least they would have one. Anyways, that's my opinion on the impeachment. I think it was a big sham. It was a big witch hunt. And as I'm speaking right now, they're still the Republicans and Democrat senators are still making their cases on the Senate floor about why they're going to choose to acquit or convict. And soon, I guess the I'm not sure when the actual impeachment finale, if you will, is going to start, but it should be coming up soon. But anyways, that's I think the president is going to be acquitted, and I think he should be. Um, do I think this impeachment should have taken place? Sure. I think if you legitimately have a concern that a president is conducting something illegal, you should absolutely investigate him, and you should do what you have to do to resolve that problem. But in this case, I just don't think the evidence supports that case. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on the impeachment. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, let's move on to something from last night, the State of the Union address, the president's speech last night. I watched it. It was pretty entertaining. I'm not going to lie. President Trump really made his case on himself and why he is so great. And he really, there was a lot of what some are calling made for TV moments, and there absolutely were. You could definitely see this was it was orchestrated to paint him in a positive light. And at the same time, there was a lot of controversy. There was a lot of things going on in the State of the Union address. While I was watching it, one thing that mainly stood out was Nancy Pelosi in the background fiddling around with the papers, and you could see her mumbling from time to time. I have no idea who she was talking to. It was really it was just funny. I mean, just watching her fiddle around was entertaining alone. But there was lots of things that happened. I heard there was at one point when Trump mentioned the Second Amendment, which I support, by the way. There was somebody it was actually one of Nancy Pelosi's guests, apparently. One of her guests was a victim of a school shooting or something, or not. This guest wasn't a victim, but their child was, or something like that. And I don't know, at some point somebody spoke out and said, "That's my child," or "What about my child," or something like that. So there was a little bit of a ruckus back there, and they ushered him out. And somewhere around there, you can see Nancy Pelosi kind of looking that way and gesturing over there to sit down or calm down or something. I don't know what she was saying, but the State of the Union address was really interesting. Rush Limbaugh was presented in the medal, the Freedom Medal, or whatever you call it. I really don't know. I don't keep up with all of the military medals or the civilian medals or anything like that. But there was a really touching moment for me, I thought, when the president was honoring a military wife and her child, and thanking them for their husband's service and for everything that they've gone through, and for their sacrifice of not having their husband around for so many months. And then just as she's about to sit down, Trump is like, "Hey, wait a minute, Miss Lady," whatever your name was. And the next thing you know, he announces that the husband is here. He couldn't wait any longer. And there's this wonderful reunion of father, husband, and family. And it was a very touching moment. It was really, I mean, I literally myself, I'm a sensitive guy sometimes. I could feel a little tear building up. It was a really touching moment. And I appreciate that. I know it was mainly there. I mean, I realize they did this as kind of put on a show, but that doesn't take away from what it means to people, And I think it's important. I think it really is. You need to show a kind gesture. I really, really think Trump kind of missed an opportunity in this State of the Union address. While he did, there were some things that he did that was positive. I think he could have gone a little further. I think what Trump needs to do, he needs to have a heart-to-heart with the American people. He needs to just open up a little bit and be like, "Look, I'm really not this bad of a guy. I really want you all to be happy. I have certain ideas and ideals that I prefer over maybe some of yours, but I'm not here to be against you." He needs to bring unity. He needs to say, "I'm here for you. And while I might not agree with the execution of your solutions, I am here to help you solve your problems." He needs to make that connection with everyone, both sides of whether you're left or right. He needs to take an opportunity to have a heart-to-heart with the sides that oppose him. Like, "Look, Why do you hate me so much? I'm not doing things that bad. I'm doing pretty good over here. I'm going to look out for you too. I'm here to look out for everyone. I mean, he just needs to open up and really have a heart to heart. I mean, there's no other phrase to describe what he needs to do. He needs to have a heart to heart conversation with the American people, specifically the ones that do not like him. I'm just personally myself, I'm sick of the division. I'm sick of the hatred from one towards the other. And I'm sick of people always pointing fingers. Oh, you did this, you did this. So, and the other guys turn around and say, oh, so what? You did this and you did this. I mean, stop pointing fingers. We are all imperfect. We're all problematic. Neither one of us have the perfect solution. Nobody is. Nobody does. It's time to stop. It's time to remember we're all Americans. We all are here for each other. I just really think Trump missed a big opportunity where he could have opened up a little bit, maybe drawn some people that hate him into believing that maybe he's not such a bad guy after all. And I think that's a problem for Trump. Trump has a problem where once he makes his mind up and he settles on a point of view, he doesn't back down from it. Some call it courageous. I think it's kind of stupid. And I'm not saying it'd be smart to back off of your principles. I think it'd be smart to be able to communicate those principles in a way that isn't so divisive and offensive. He needs to work on unifying the people and less on dividing the people. And I think if he could do that, if he could have this heart to heart and people, I mean, maybe I'm not saying people are going to accept, oh, it's not going to be like an instant change in the hearts of the people that have hated him for so long, but it's a start. It's a start. It's a point where you can say, look, I told you how I felt. I explained to you that I'm not the person you think I am. I'm trying to do the best I can for the American people that voted for me and the ones that didn't. I mean, you just got to have that conversation. And that was a great opportunity, especially right before, an election's about to get going, and you missed it. Instead, there was a lot of things that he said that kind of caused division. I'm not saying that anything he said was necessarily wrong or improper or inappropriate, but he made a lot of talking points that were very divisive. And I understand the reason. The reason they're so divisive is because they're some of the main talking points that his friendly base, his friends, really want to hear. And I get that. You've got to talk to your people, but you got to talk to the people that aren't your people too. And that's all I'm saying. The State of the Union, I think it was a remarkable speech. I think that he honored some great people for some great things. And overall, I think it was a very positive thing. There were some very entertaining things that happened as well. Towards the end, Nancy Pelosi, like I said, she was in the background flubbering around with some papers and just mumbling and making weird eye rolls and gestures. And she was very busy in the background the whole time, during the whole speech. But towards the end of the speech, she stands up and she rips the president's speech one page at a time while standing right behind him, behind his head. And you can kind of see her gleaming at him while she does it. And then she just drops it on the desk and walks out. And she basically called the speech a bunch of lies. And honestly, my personal opinion is I think it was inappropriate. I don't think that was necessary. I think, yes, Trump is divisive, but that statement right there is just as equally divisive. And you're both acting like children. Somebody needs to make you go hold hands or stand in a corner together or something, because it's not right. It's not good for the American people, and it's not good for the office that either of you are holding. And I have a problem with it. So there you go. There you have it. And I'm not just saying that Nancy is the bad one. I think both actions were bad. I think both of you need to come to some kind of agreement and understanding. Y'all need to have a heart-to-heart talk. But overall, the speech was good. The State of the Union address was nice. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was really uplifting. It kind of felt good. There were some awkward moments that were a little strange, and you could feel the awkwardness throughout the whole auditorium where they were doing the speech. But overall, I think it was pretty good, and I think it was a great statement to the American people. I do wish that he would have had that little heart to heart and tried to reach out to the people that don't really agree with him and don't see eye to eye with him. I really think he missed that opportunity, but it is what it is. But overall, I really enjoyed it, and if you haven't seen it, I highly encourage you to go watch it yourself. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up this episode of the Political Madness Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope that I didn't offend you too much, and I hope you'll come back to hit the next episode. I'm not sure how I'm going to upload this podcast. I'm not sure what places I'm going to be uploading it to or where it's going to be available at just yet. This is my very first episode. There's going to be plenty of more to come, so stick around. If you're listening to this now, just follow that page. Make sure that you get notifications of the next ones that are coming because there will be more. And if I haven't offended you yet, stay tuned.